James Vincent Forrestal didn't come from old money or privilege. He clawed his way up from newspaper reporter to Wall Street millionaire. By age 40, he was president of the powerhouse investment firm Dillon Read & Company. When World War II broke out, he walked away from finance to serve his country. Roosevelt made him Undersecretary of the Navy, then Secretary of the Navy, and finally First Secretary of Defense. Forrestal oversaw the transition from wartime America into the Cold War superpower. His rags to riches story was the American dream, but he was a nightmare for the Washington establishment. Forrestal was openly critical of Truman's policies, nuclear disarmament, joining NATO. Forrestal argued that recognizing the new state of Israel too soon would inflame the Arab world, threatening U.S. oil security. Critics accused Forrestal of being anti-Semitic, but the record shows his arguments were strategic, not religious or ethnic. He wanted Israel to be under UN control until tempers in the region cooled down. He also believed America was being hollowed out from within. He warned that communists had infiltrated the government, the media, and the military. While the U.S. was disarming, Moscow was embedding agents at the highest levels of American life.
He was right about that.
He was. Congressional hearings would later prove that Soviet spy rings really had penetrated Washington. But when Forrestal said it, he was branded paranoid. It was a media smear campaign. Journalists who once praised him painted him as unstable. Communists accused him of imagining Reds under every bed. Cartoonists mocked him as a wild-eyed conspiracy theorist. Inside the White House, Truman's circle spread the idea that Forrestal was cracking under pressure. They circulated rumors about his drinking, about his memory. But Forrestal wasn't drunk or senile. He was filling thousands of pages in his diaries, working 15-hour days. He was independent, wealthy, and wasn't afraid to speak truth to power. Forrestal couldn't be controlled. That made him dangerous. By March 1949, the pressure campaign worked. Forrestal was forced to resign as Secretary of Defense. Within days, he was checked into Bethesda Naval Hospital for rest. But that rest looked more like confinement. Visitors were restricted. His priest tried 7 times to see him, blocked every time. His brother Henry begged to bring him home. Even Forrestal wrote letters saying he was fine and wanted to leave. The Navy kept him inside. 7 weeks later, he was dead. At 1:50 a.m. on May 22, 1949, a nurse heard a crash outside. Forrestal's body was found on a 3rd-floor ledge, 13 stories below his window. The belt of his bathrobe was tied around his neck. The hospital declared it a suicide within hours. No autopsy, no investigation. The coroner rubber-stamped the report without inspecting the body. Reporters were told Forrestal had been copying lines from a tragic play as a suicide note, but the lines were unfinished, mid-sentence, as if he was interrupted.
Now, let me guess. The video wasn't working that night.
They didn't have video back then.
Yeah, likely story.
Forrestal's brother Henry called it murder. Navy officials ordered personnel to stay silent. They even classified the number of windows in his room as top secret. Forrestal's diaries were seized immediately. Thousands of pages of meetings, conversations, personal reflections. When they were finally released 2 years later, entire sections were missing. His family believed the censored passages contained secrets that powerful people wanted buried. Instead, Forrestal was buried.
Yeah, history seems to repeat itself, don't it?
It does. Some believed Forrestal was going to go public about UFOs. He felt Americans deserved to know the truth about extraterrestrial contact. But the message was clear. Silence wasn't optional. For years, the trail stayed cold. Then, a postcard arrived from New Zealand with a return address in Ethiopia.